Alright, we are the pre-Columbian era of America. Kemet, okay. Cross that Mississippi, which is the West Nile. Okay. 1776. Now let's talk about the $1 bill. Let's pull one out. Let me see if I got one in my pocket. The $1 bill. Let's talk about this shit. And read the Bible code. Listen to what I say. I'm supposed to read out the Bible code to the American $1 bill. Okay. Let's talk about this $1 for a minute. All right. We used to, when I was in high school, middle school, and maybe elementary, I was always told about General George Washington, the first president of the United States, who was on this $1 bill right here. One of the first things they said General George Washington did as a kid, he watched his people. This is something, listen to this Bible code, if you heard this before. George Washington chopped down the cherry tree. George Washington chopped down the cherry tree. And I was like, what the fuck is that got to do with anything? I didn't chop down the cherry tree. In my front yard, do you got to record that in history? When I was a little boy, George Washington chopped down the cherry tree. Now listen to this. It's something more than George Washington chopped down the cherry tree. He chopped down the Cherokee. Cherokee, Tennessee. Okay. Which is what y'all call the rebel flag. Let me see if I got the example I'm trying to say. Give me 1 minute. All right, here we go. He chopped down the Cherokee. Now this is a nice little Indian shirt. I had found this at an Indian shop. The Indians gave it to me. Now they say this is the rebel flag. This is the flag of the Confederacy. But before the white settlers got here, this is what General George Washington saw as him and his Whig party, which is all pale-faced white people, the whitest of the white people from Poland and the Ukraine and the northern country and Russia and the Scandinavian country and Norway and the whitest white people at the North Pole and shit. This is the flag they saw as they came into the interior of Powhatan. Powhatan is in Virginia. They saw colored people that looked like me. And they saw many of them. They saw numerous numbers, more than the white people here at the time. When the first white people got here, they saw that southern flag over the Americas everywhere. This was the flag of the Cherokee in Tennessee. Now, as a kid, when I used to hear that story about General George Washington chopped down the cherry tree, but then I studied the American Indian Wars. I studied the French and the Indian Wars, the Spanish conquest of 3 of the main tribes of Mexico, the Aztec, the Inca, and the Maya, who are Indian tribes. So there were Indian tribes over all of this country. And the countries had names, the people were civilized, and they had a currency. They had coins, gold coins. They had minted coins. They were an empire here before the white man got here. So we started it off saying, when I was a kid, the school teacher used to say in the history books, it was in our history class. It said it. We read it. We had to read paragraph after paragraph. General George Washington, when he was a boy, he chopped down a cherry tree. Now I was like, what the fuck is that in the book for? When I was a kid, I used to think that. But now I figured it out. I studied the American Indian Wars. He was the contributor. His family was the family line that brought the cannonball in and chopped down the Cherokee. The Cherokee's headquarters was in Tennessee, which they have Indian mounds, cities, on platforms and step pyramids and shit, all over Tennessee. In the same place, it's called Cherokee, Tennessee, where the white man had a civil war there. The North and the South out there war over the Indian territories. They wanted to steal the people's things from their houses and their gold that they had hiding behind their platform. Cities that were civilized, they had a government, they minted gold, silver, turquoise. Now this wasn't an indigenous people, this was a sophisticated empire that were building cities and naming them, and just like the white man does with his style of building his buildings, building his city in the skyrise buildings of Babylon, or modern day Babylon, in the big metropolis. The Indians spread east to west, north to south, over the whole terrain, horizontally. They didn't build upward, they spread like God told them to in the Semitic programs, to be fruitful and multiply and to increase in number. See, the white man is adversary. We are solar creatures, they are polar. They build upward toward heaven thinking to fight against what God says in the Bible. Just like ancient Babylon. This is the eighth horn of Babylon at New York City, where they put the Statue of Liberty at, where General George Washington chopped down the Cherokee. The Cherokee. Okay, the Cherokee is that red-skinned Indian on that Washington Redskins football helmet. That's a Cherokee. That's the cherry tree that George Washington chopped down. Remember I said they built the Statue of Liberty on the stump of the Tree of Life, which they call Ellis Island right now. Originally that was called Manhattan Bay. Manhattan, like a man with a hat on, right? Manhattan. Manhattan, the man got a hat on, right? So a man with a hat on, Bay. And he was a black colored Indian fellow with a hat on at Manhattan. Manhattan Bay. See, the white man came over here, chopped down the Cherokee, or the cherry tree, right? George Washington chopped down the Cherokee when he was a little boy. They had a cannonball. They shot cannons at the Indians at Seneca Village before the Statue of Liberty was dedicated to the Scottish rights of Scotland in the Mayflower Compact for killing all the Indians. And the European Union formed over America for 100 years. 1886, France, the other party who joined in killing all of the colored peoples. Because France was in Egypt at the time that the white man was over here killing the Indians in the West. France was in Napoleon Bonaparte. They went into Africa, right? Over West Africa, at Timbuktu, okay. The African Babylon, right? Mansa Musa Empire, he was long dead now. So after Mansa Musa, the richest man in antiquity in Mali, had long been dead, they knew there was gold to find. They went searching for gold, and they came across the Arabian terrain in Africa. And the French fought the Almohades was the British and the French fought in Africa. The white man from Great Britain went to fight against the Zulus in South Africa, because they coming from Antarctica, the circumference of the whole earth, in the middle regions. The polar people are coming from the Arctic Circle on both sides of the ice age that is surrounding the middle regions of the earth from the nether regions. In the Arctic Circle, you can go around the whole world at a line of longitude. The long line around the earth is small at the top of the earth and at the bottom of the earth than it is at the equator. So the line of longitude around the earth is larger space and terrain of area to go around the world along the equator. But if you go around the world along the poles, it's a shorter distance. And you can take one of those lines of latitude to pinpoint an area in the middle regions of the earth from the nether regions. If you got a submarine technology, North Pole, they got to look down to get to the middle region. In the South Pole, they got to look up to get to the middle regions of the earth. See, this is how they are coming to attack us from a place in Antarctica called Mount Andrew Jackson. And they got 12 points of the nether regions of the circle around the earth, where they can pinpoint the equator with the place they are in the nether regions at the poles, to take a line of latitude to send a guided missile or something, from a submarine. And they can cause earthquakes on the earth with their technology to destroy. They are destroyers. They send destroyers to destroy our people. They always send a destroyer to one of the cardinal directions of the earth where the colored people rule. All they are after is gold and the treasures of the world. They care nothing about the inhabitants of this earth that belongs to those places where there are great treasures. You dig what I'm telling you? General George Washington is coming from Mount Andrew Jackson. In the latter days, his people who are now on the earth in great mischief. And the Northwest Schism, the great Western Schism of the Holy Roman Empire, is unholy and pure. They're unholy and unpure, unclean, sexually immoral creatures that are morally wrong, that are morally degenerate in the homosexual agenda. They are the worst kind of creatures that have ever been on the earth, ever. And they are totally adversary to the solar god and the solar people who are colored by the sun god. Black, red, brown, yellow, or any color that is not white. So, and the white people that is pure white, they are sick breed of people with a hereditary sickness in their bloodline from the Black Death of Europe in 1348. Where 9/10 of their population died. And every time since they have been here in America, they has only gave us hell on this earth. Hellas is on the earth, and it only causes us to die here and go sterile and not to be fruitful and multiply and increase in numbers. That was the first commandment God gave to humanity on this earth. In the first world order of things from the Septempi was for us to be fruitful and multiply and increase in number. And now, Mot, who is the god of pestilence and disease and sickness, in the Bell cycle of ancient Sumeria and the Akkadian period, and the Bell worship, okay? Because this is the eighth horn of Babylon, the Roman Empire, America, is the Greco-Roman Empire, the eighth kingdom or horn that belongs to the former seven Babylons at Nebuchadnezzar's palace. It goes back to Arcadia, in the lands of Nimrod, because Akkad was one of the cities Nimrod built for the kingdom of Cush, and from the Hamitic bloodlines who reigned over the old world. They were black people, colored people, all shades of the spectrum except white. They were non-white people, not white people. So if General George Washington in 1776 becomes the new European Nimrod that chopped down the Cherokee or the cherry tree, I'm speaking in Bible codes, chopped down the Cherokee, the flag of the South, which the white man proclaimed from Sparta. There's another bloodline of white people who came here in the southern regions of America who accepted the Cherokee flag, who adopted his rebel flag to be against General George Washington. But Colonel Sanders, who in Kentucky, niggas love Kentucky Fried Chicken. When niggas tasted Colonel Sanders' Kentucky Fried Chicken, they ain't want to be rebels no more. They ain't want to be free no more. They want to live on the plantation in Kentucky. And that's where the national, one of the national gold reserves of the United States military, all the gold the Aztec, the Inca, and the Maya, Fort Knox, Kentucky. Niggas love fried chicken. Niggas did not want to be free no more in the South. We want to live on the plantation with Colonel Sanders. Niggas love fried chicken and watermelon. Niggas did not want to be free no more. They want you to lock their ass up in Colonel Sanders' plantation. Niggas wanted to be sold into slavery in Kentucky. So we wear in those southern states. This is a high dollar, thing to have. If I got a shirt like this in the South, nigga. Ooh, wee, and yeah, people down south love to wear the Southern Cross on them in the country. This is royalty, nigga. This is from Cherokee, Tennessee, baby. This is royalty. I know you gonna think I'm a slave owner or some shit. This nigga must be a slaver and shit. And got the rebel flag on and shit. White pride and shit. No, it's not white pride, nigga. This is the Cherokee Braves flag. The flag that General George Washington chopped down the cherry tree, right? In Cherokee, Tennessee, right? This was the flag of the Cherokee, baby. In the South. In them southern states that they wasn't supposed to go past the Mississippi to see. The white man wasn't supposed to come past those goddamn 7 colonies that the Indians gave to them on the coast. And they later decided that they wanted to buck the goddamn system that the Indians had out here under this cross right here of Cherokee, Tennessee. The one that George Washington, when he was a little boy, they chopped down the cherry tree. They chopped down the Cherokee, nigga, in the tree that was at Seneca Village, where they placed the Statue of Liberty 100 years later, at the stump of the goddamn tree. And we are the tree that they tried to chop down completely. But that tree is reborn again because its roots are underneath that idol they placed on it at the stump. And a righteous branch has sprung from underneath the stump of that goddamn idol. And the tree has begun to grow on the land where the horn of many waters is, surrounded by water on this little island, the little fantasy island of the Mayflower Compact and their facade of Hellenism over the plains of Abraham, over the seed of Abraham who they tried to destroy off the earth, who is as many as the stars on the Colombian blue United States flag and the red and the white crown of ancient Egypt. That red and white crown was with the Creek Indians in the Alabama Coshata territories, with the Ethiopian West Indian lords, at the Temple of the Warriors of Chichen Itza, at El Tashin, at the Olmec centers. That's what the white man saw when they first got here. The Book of Mormon called them Lamanites. That's what they saw in around the year 1830. 1830, the white people saw Cherokees all over the plains of Abraham, which is the North American continent. And this was the flag of that country. Cherokee, Tennessee, baby, it was the headquarters of the Indian territories at Cahokia, up and down the Mississippi. This is the flag of Mississippi, the West Nile. This is Kemet. The kingdom of Kemet was ancient Mexico. The Olmecs, the old Mexicans, the Olmecers, the old Mexicans were black people from Africa. And General George Washington, that son of a bitch, chopped down the Cherokee at Seneca Village, where they placed the Statue of Liberty 100 years later. Can you dig it?